Please stand by. Good day and welcome to the UFC 195 conference call. Today's conference is being recorded. At this time, I'd like to turn the conference over to Mr. Chris Costello. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to the UFC 195 media conference call. UFC 195 takes place Saturday, January 2nd at the MGM Grand. It airs live on pay-per-view 10 p.m. in the East, 7 o'clock in the West. On today's call, please welcome the main and co-main event stars of UFC 195, welterweight champion Robbie Lawler, challenger Carlos Condit, as well as top heavyweight contenders Andrei Arlovski and Stipe Miocic. And with that, we can open up to questions now.
Thank you. If you'd like to ask a question, please signal by pressing star 1 on your telephone keypad. If you're using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. Again, press star 1 to ask a question. We'll pause for just a moment to allow everyone an opportunity to signal for questions. And we'll take our first question from Lance Pugmire with the Los Angeles Times.
And my first question is for Robbie. I was just wondering, Robbie, for you, is this fight unique, this challenge of Carlos Condit unique for you, or is it just another fight? How are you viewing this?
Yeah, I would say for me it's always the same. It's always worry about how I can get better, worry about the techniques that I can improve on. And then my coach is more or less implement the game plan and have me work on certain aspects. So it's just business as usual, but Carlos is a heck of a fighter that I need to be ready for, and I'm well prepared.
Do you feel like the champion now? When you won that belt, did you feel like, okay, I've made it to a next level? And what's it like to, be defending that belt? Does that mean something special to you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really good. It's a lot of hard work finally paying off, but I'm just doing what it took to get me here, which is hard work and always learning. But my coaches and I always stress to just continue to get better and work on all aspects so that I'll be ready to fight and take everything to the next level every time I compete.
Great, Robbie. Thank you. And then, Carlos, for you, I just wanted to ask you, why are you more ready for this title shot than you were the previous?
Well, I've definitely grown up quite a bit, just as a person, but also as an athlete and a fighter. I've been through a couple of title fights and done the lead up and dealt with the pressure. I think having gone through that experience, I'm better for it, and I'm definitely more prepared.
Carlos, what have you taken from seeing Robbie's just resilience? He just refuses to lose fights. How do you break through and defeat a guy like that?
I'll have to see if my preparation is going to be enough to do that, and I feel very confident that it is. I don't know, man. I'm just going to go out there and do my thing. Every night's a different night, and anything could happen. Like I said, I feel very, very confident.
Great. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you. Our next question comes from John Morgan with USA Today Sports.
Thank you. If I could start with Robbie, please. Robbie, you've been champion for about a year now. It's something that you had obviously wanted to do since you were a teenager. I'm just curious what the experience has been like versus the way you always dreamed about it, and how it's impacted your life. Has it been all positive? Have there been any negatives? What's this last year been like for you?
I would say not much has changed other than maybe people want my autograph and maybe want to take pictures with me a little bit more than they did before. But I just keep to the same circle. I'm not really venturing out doing many things other than fight-related and working out. So I'm just staying humble and keep grinding away and concentrate on what got me here, which is hard work and continuing to improve.
By most accounts, I mean, you had the fight of the year with Rory McDonald. Carlos is obviously a monster in there as well. In your hopes, and if you could play it out and plan this the way this fight goes, would it be another one of those epic wars where people just put you up on a pedestal for being this warrior, or would it be a situation where you just kind of get out of there as quickly as possible and not have to put your body through something like that again?
Yeah, it's definitely something. You don't want to have to showcase your warrior spirit or how much heart you have in a fight. You want to go out there and you want to be sharp and you want to execute your game plan and go out there and get it done fast. So push comes to shove, every fighter wants to get it done as soon as possible and take as least amount of damage as possible.
Thanks, Robbie. And if I could just quickly for Carlos, you touched on it a little bit there, but, I mean, you did have kind of a rough stretch. And I'm just curious kind of what your mentality was like during that time, because you were only losing to the absolute, best in the world. What were the specific lessons that you took during that time, and what was your mentality like at that point?
I think that my fight IQ has increased. I dropped that close decision to Hendricks, and I feel like I could have won that fight if I'd have fought a little bit smarter. So that's definitely one takeaway. The fight with George, my camp was a little bit, it was different. It was kind of turned upside down because I didn't have Greg Jackson, my head coach, in my corner, kind of, guiding me. And this time around, I do have him. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things, but, things have come together very, very well in this camp.
And you and Robbie's careers have kind of overlapped, although you've been in different promotions a lot of the time. But I'm curious, how long ago did you start thinking about Robbie as an opponent? Do you remember the first time you started kind of breaking him down and looking at him and saying, this is a guy that I'm going to fight at some point, and how am I going to take him out?
Well, I remember watching him back when he was in first UFC. And I liked his style, but definitely since he's been back in the UFC and back at 170, he was at 185 for a long time. So since he's been back at my weight class, it's definitely been something that I've had on my radar.
Sure. Thanks, Carlos. And if I could just briefly for the heavyweights, if I could start with Stipe, if you win this fight, I mean, you're awfully close to a title shot by all accounts. Have you thought at all about the benefits of maybe quitting your position at the Firehouse and training as a full-time fighter? Do you think that would be the right choice? I mean, at the highest level of the sport, at the championship level?
I love what I do, and I love being a fireman. I love helping people. I'm part-time at the department, so I get the benefit of choosing my schedule a month in advance. And I have two great chiefs that actually, they're pretty lenient with me. If I need to call off or trade a shift, they're pretty good with this. So I mean, I still train full-time no matter what. So I'm never gonna leave. I love what I do.
All right, thanks, Steve. If I could just lastly for Andre, I'm curious as well if you've had any discussions about maybe what comes next. I mean, have you been told at all this is definitely a number one contenders fight? And either way, can you explain what it would mean for you to be a champion in the UFC again versus maybe the first time around?
First of all, my mind right now, I focused on my fight against Stipe Miocic. No doubt, he's tough, he's very dangerous, and definitely it's going to be big test for me. I have to fight smart, and I have a lot of respect for him. He's tough, and we'll see what's going to happen after. But I promise I will do everything possible to beat him on January 2nd.
Thank you all, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Damon Martin with Fox Sports.
Hey, guys. First question is for Robbie Lawler. Robbie, you went through a real battle, as everyone knows, with Rory McDonald in your last fight. And I know you had a little bit of an injury in November. But I mean, how much time did it take for your body to come back from that fight and truly be able to prepare for this one?
My body actually felt really good. My mind felt really good. I just had a dinged up thumb a couple weeks after the fight, but other than that, my body recovered really well, and my energy level was high. My muscles felt great, and I felt good. So it was just kind of one of those things where I used the time after the thumb injury to rest a little bit and regroup and focus, and my coaches put together a game plan, and we just started working. But I feel good. I felt good after the fight. It was just a little banged up and with my thumb.
Yeah. I know you've talked about, your training at American Top Team and how you've actually gone away from sparring so hard and so much. Obviously, you have been through a few wars, since you've been champion, the fights with Hendricks and then obviously the fight with Rory. Do you believe that change in sparring has kind of allowed you to, to survive better in those fights? I mean, you do take guys take a lot of damage in sparring, and it seems like you've been able to endure that and come back, or endure that and still be fighting hard in the fifth round, a lot in your recent fight. Does that have any correlation to do with the less sparring and kind of keeping your mind and body healthy going into the fight?
I think when I first came back to the UFC, I did a lot of sparring and had to work on stuff and sharpen up my skills and got them to a high level. And now I have really good training partners that we work back and forth. We can put the pedal to the metal, and we don't try to bang each other up, but we get good work in and get our heart rate up and go to work. But I'm not really a doctor, but I feel good. I work on my techniques, work on my strengths, and make sure I'm staying sharp. So that's really the main focus, is just staying sharp, staying healthy, and being able to fight. When push comes to shove, I'm always ready to go. But I don't think you need to show your toughness in training practice. I think I'm show my toughness when the cameras are on and in front of the big lights and all the fans.
Yeah. Obviously, Robbie, you faced a ton of great strikers in your career. I mean, Rory McDonald is very good. Obviously, Matt Brown is very good. But where do you put Carlos Condit in that list in terms of just strikers, in terms of, the best kickboxers or best boxers you face? Is he top of the list? Where would you rank Carlos in terms of, guys you faced throughout your career?
I don't really ever rank guys, but obviously Carlos is way up there. But every striker's different. Everyone has their little tweaks, and Carlos is a kickboxer, and he's got a little bit of different style than most, but he's high up there, and I have to definitely be focused. He brings everything to the table when it comes to strikes. He does spinning kicks, he does spinning back fists, he does elbows, he does knees, jump knees. He does it all, so I have to be sharp.
Awesome. And for Carlos, I know you've actually, recently changed up your training a little bit, where you're training smarter. I know you've worked a little bit on movement and balance. We've heard a lot of that with Conor McGregor and his fights, not taking as much damage into the camp and really focusing on those things. How much has that made a difference in your camp? And do you feel like that is a big key for you now going into this title fight, that kind of movement and balance-based training?
Yeah, I think it's one tool to be used. I mean, there's the ultimate goal is to get in there and fight to the best of your ability, make it through training camp, feeling good and ready to go. And these different things that I've implemented, some of the movement training, switching up my my sparring schedule and just training smarter, I think is definitely helped me get to the point where I'm at now, especially since I had knee surgery and everything. All these things have been super, super important in bringing me to this title fight.
Yeah. Obviously, you always want to earn the respect of your contemporaries. I don't know that you've had a lot of guys say bad things about you after a fight, but I am curious your thoughts on, George St. Pierre, a guy you faced, recently in a couple interviews. He's, praised you as, the toughest guy he's ever fought, and a guy that he believes is the best welterweight in the sport right now. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, I'm sure you'd love to avenge that loss to George, but, I mean, does it mean something special when a guy of his level, compliments you to that level? I mean, he's been extremely outspoken about you in the last, 4 or 5 months leading into this title fight.
Yeah, it's definitely a great compliment from a guy like George, who's been in there against, the top guys that have really, ever competed at welterweight to this point. So yeah, I mean, after the fight, he had great things to say, and since then he's been very complimentary, and so I'm pleased. It's cool when you're a fan favorite, but when you're you have the respect of your colleagues, the other fighters in the business, and the other coaches. That's, I think, even more important for me.
And last question for you, Carlos. Obviously, I kind of reverse of what I asked Robbie. Same thing for you. You've also faced, just a murderer's row of great strikers in your career. I'm not going to ask you to rank it or anything, but where is Robbie, in terms of the toughest, maybe the hardest punchers or best strikers you've faced in your career?
I think that he's definitely, I mean, probably the most dangerous guy that I've ever faced. He's super skilled, but he's also got the power, and he's got experience, and he's a smart fighter. So, I'm gonna have to be on my A game.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. As a reminder, that is *1 to ask a question. And we move next to Richard Hunter with KRLD Radio.
Hi, guys. If I could start with the heavyweights, please. First question for Stipe Miocic. Stipe, Andrei Arlovski has gone to battle with a lot of big strikers. He's had some spectacular knockouts. One thing we haven't seen him face so much in recent years is fighters who were maybe more wrestling-based. Do you think that your wrestling may be more on display en route to a victory over Andre?
Hello?
Yes. Stipe?
Okay, sorry. I thought my phone cut out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe not. I mean, Andre's, one of the best, and, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. If it's not, it's not. It's MMA, so anything can happen, it's mixed martial arts, so we can stay on our feet, we can go on the ground. So, I mean, wherever it goes, I'm going to be comfortable with.
You obviously have been talked about in contention for a title shot here for the last couple of months anyway, and what a victory here might mean for you, Stipe. But you've also made public comments about the fact that the UFC has tempered that with marketability. They've let you know that they'd like to see you, a little more famous, a little more well-known, so that they can market a heavyweight title fight if you get to that point. Because of that, do you feel any extemporaneous pressure in a result here to not only win the fight, but, maybe as a result become a little bit more famous in the process?
Honestly, I don't care. I mean, I understand it's business, man. It's what it's about the money, and maybe one day I'll get more fans, which is fine. But the fans is what makes the sport. But I'm not worried about being famous. I'm just worried about January 2nd, against Andre. It's gonna be a hell of a fight. I'm super excited, and that's all I'm worried about right now.
And question for Andrei Arlovski. Andre, you're coming off of a victory over Frank Mir. It went to a decision. Different people just had opinions on the scorecards. Were there any frustrations for you personally coming out of that fight with Frank Mir that you sought to correct in this training camp?
Definitely, I took some lessons from that fight, and right 5 days before the fight, definitely I'm not going to do same stuff what I did before Frank Mir fights. When I'm going to fight Stipe, I'm going to come to the room in a hotel. I'm going to lock myself and just sit no more fun time. Just it was stupid. It was very important fight back in September for me, but I did some stupid shit. So now I have to be smarter.
When you say you did some stupid things, do you mean just in terms of fight week distractions, or what was going on that you would do differently this time?
No, just some stupid stuff. No comments about that.
Okay. Question for the champ, Robbie Lawler. Robbie, Carlos Condit is probably easily a great definition of a well-rounded fighter, a guy who's got about as many submissions as he's got KOs, and also carries an incredible pace. All that being said, when you're looking for sparring partners to particularly replicate Carlos's style, is that a little more challenging than it is for your average opponent when one guy is that well-rounded?
Yeah, obviously Carlos brings a lot to the table, but here's the thing: we just bring in. We won't ever find anybody who has all those aspects, but we will have guys who have the height, have the striking, and then we'll bring in different fresher guys just so that they could keep that pace. And then if we need jiu-jitsu guys, we'll bring in jiu-jitsu guys who have that pace. So we'll implement and we'll bring as many guys as possible with the same type of body, the same type of striking techniques, and we'll just rotate them in, keep them fresh so that they can push a pace on me. So my coaches do a great job at American Top Team of getting me ready and doing those kinds of things. It's not finding someone exactly like Carlos. It's finding like 10 guys and having them come in and try to beat me up.
And lastly, for Carlos Condit, Carlos, your home is there with Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn. You train there in Albuquerque, but you bring in Ricky Lindell as your grappling coach, and that formula has worked very well for you for quite some time now. Obviously, there's going to be logistics with, one guy not being in-house with the gym and having to coordinate travel schedules and you going back and forth and that sort of thing. But that being said, what makes this such a successful formula for you, having him as part of the camp where he comes in? Sometimes he's coaching against Greg Jackson. Sometimes, in your case, he's coaching with him. For you in particular, what makes that combination such a winning formula to incorporate him with Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn?
Well, the cool thing about Ricky is he was a jiu-jitsu guy before he was a wrestler. And, he's a very, very high-level submission guy first. And, and then so he's able to blend jiu-jitsu and wrestling very well. A lot of wrestling coaches are, wrestlers first, and then, maybe they can figure out how to blend jiu-jitsu into what they're doing. He, it's flipped with him. That, and he's a technician, man. Him and Greg have very similar minds, and they see a lot of the same thing. And even if they're not in camp at the same time, they see a lot of the same things and are thinking a lot of the same things independently. So, there's never really any conflict as far as, what somebody thinks that needs to be done, or the way that we're running camp, or the technique, or a tactic or game plan or whatever. So it's great to just have different looks, and especially when they're all they all come to the same conclusion.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Adam Hill with the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
I just want to follow up a little bit on that with Carlos, talking about Ricky Lindell. I've talked to him extensively about his use of analytics in the sport, and kind of the next wave of using math and some of the formulas that he has to incorporate that into camp. How much have you worked with him on that, and how much do you think that adds to a training camp when you have somebody looking at it from kind of just a mathematical approach?
Well, they do that kind of mathematical analytics in all the major sports. Why not in mixed martial arts? I don't think that it's not the holy grail, but I think that it's definitely a good tool. Just to really look at somebody's tendencies in black and white, not like, oh well, he kind of seems to do this here and there. It's more of like, it's solid numbers. We can actually quantify things, and I think that's definitely important.
Do you think it takes a certain type of fighter to be able to do that? I've talked to some other guys that say maybe it's too much thinking. It's still a fight, and if you're trying to think of all these different things, it might be clogging your mind a little bit. So, is there a certain type of fighter that you think it works for, and certain guys maybe it doesn't?
Well, you shouldn't be thinking about that while you're in the cage. It's more applicable to the preparation. You're encoding these different movements, these different tactics to counter what your opponent does well. And by the time you get in the fight, you should just be doing it second nature. You're not thinking about numbers and he's going to do this and that and this and that. It should just be should be automatic. But by that time, so I guess it depends on how you're using it.
And for both Carlos and Andre, if you both want to weigh on this, the gym has just had so much success. I know, it didn't go as well for Cowboy, his last fight, but, just so much with Holly and John coming back and all the success he's had. How much does it kind of, build on itself when everybody in the gym is, having success and having these high-level fights, and the confidence that it brings to everybody?
Carlos, go ahead.
Okay. All right. I just think there's a great atmosphere. The success that we're having right now is just in large part because of what we've been doing for a long time. It's just a lot of things are coming to fruition right now. I think that we get a lot of guys from a lot of different places, different backgrounds, different martial arts disciplines, and they come in not only to learn but also to teach what they know. So there's a great kind of spirit of collaboration that we have going on, and it's when you surround yourself with great athletes, it's hard not to just feel as though you're one of them.
Yeah, like Carlos said, it's great atmosphere in the gym, and I'm very excited about Carlos. I'm very excited for Holly, for John Jones coming up. I'm very excited about my fight against Stipe, and I'm glad to be a part of UFC 190 fight, and I think it's going to be a great night for us.
Cool, thanks. And for Robbie, my last question was, this is a huge fight. People have been, waiting for this fight for a long time between you two, but do you feel you guys have been overshadowed a little bit by the last couple of events of, the major event that was in Australia and what happened with Ronda and Holly, and then also all the Conor McGregor hype that we've heard the last month? Do you feel like you guys have been overshadowed, and has that bothered you at all?
No, man, nothing bothers me. I don't care about being overshadowed. I like creeping up on people, being the quiet guy, just coming to fight, coming to go to war, coming to battle. And I've never been in this game to be in the spotlight. I'm in this game because I love it. I love fighting. I love competing. I love pushing myself. And when push comes to shove, and I'm always on the stage, on the biggest stage, I'm going to be the guy who's showcasing my skills, and I'm going to shine bright. That's what I always focus on. I don't worry about what I'm not getting. I'm worried about what I'm going to get. Everyone else is doing great things, but so am I, and the sport's going to continue to grow. There's going to be different stars out there, and I'll get my chance to shine.
Cool. Thank you guys all so much.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Jim Edwards with mirror.co.uk.
Good evening, gentlemen. First question's to Robbie. Robbie, obviously this fight is firstly supposed to take place UFC 193 in November. Obviously you sustained a thumb injury. What was the extent of that, and how's your recovery gone?
It's just a little banged up. It's an injury that I had a long time ago, and it just happened to flare up. But the recovery is good. Didn't take very long, probably about a month of not banging it, not getting it hit on anything, and it was ready to go. So I'm good now.
And again, to Robbie, I know this is going to be your first fight with the ID ban in place. Is that something that has affected your kind of preparations in the last few weeks or so? Has that changed at all?
No, nothing's changed. Just business, just worried about keeping my weight where it needs to be, and I'll be ready. I've been doing this for a long time, and I'll get it done.
Carlos, I saw you speaking to quite a lot of the media a few weeks ago in Vegas, and you were saying the same thing to a lot of them, and you were saying the line, "I'm going to finish Robbie Lawler." What is it that makes you think that you have what it takes to be the first guy to do this since 2011?
I'm just confident in my abilities. I've beat a lot of guys who were, I've been the underdog throughout my career, and I've made a career, and I've taken a lot of pleasure in proving doubters wrong, and and you do that enough times, and you start to believe in your abilities, and it's not always that way. I go through different phases where there's times of self-doubt, but when the bell rings and it's time to throw down and I get another opponent in my face, I go to war. I fight, and usually it turns out well for me.
Thanks for your time, guys. Best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you. Our next question returns to Damon Martin with Fox Sports.
Thanks, guys. A couple questions for the heavyweights. Stipe, obviously I know you were supposed to fight back in October against Ben Rothwell, and absolutely no offense to him whatsoever, but the way things worked out to get this showcase against Andre, who was right around you in the rankings, obviously a co-main event on pay-per-view. I mean, did things work out for the better in terms of kind of a more high-profile fight this time?
I guess. I think Ben's pretty tough himself. He's ranked, seventh in the world, especially heavyweight division when he wears small gloves. Anything can happen. And unfortunately, I had to pull out a fight, which I never did that before, and it was heartbreaking. But I told him I'd come back in January, and they gave me Arlovsky. So I'm happy. Can't complain.
Yeah. Obviously, your focus is on Andre, and this kind of plays back into that. But we know we have the title fight now set for, February with Verdum and Velasquez. We have a couple of big heavyweight fights. Obviously, Alistair just had his win, and we've got Ben Rothwell and Josh Barnett coming up at the end of the month. But do you feel like there is a statement to be made that, this is your time to shine, and, you should be the next guy in line? I mean, if you can finish a guy like Andrei Arlovsky, obviously that goes a long way to putting you right in line for that title shot.
I think any fight you got to get into, you got to shine and show why you deserve to be up there. And all I care about now is January 2nd, against Andre. It's gonna be a hell of a fight, but I'm super excited. I'm confident, and I can't wait.
Awesome. And for Andre, kind of the same question. Obviously, you are right there for a title shot as well. Your teammate, Alistair Overeem, just recently, had a fight and a win. I mean, do you feel like there is a kind of a statement or a kind of a performance you want to show in this fight? I know, coming off that last fight with Frank Mir, you're on a great win streak, but do you feel like there is a statement to be made in this fight with Stipe?
Not really. Like I said, my focus right now is just beat Stipe. He's tough, and I was so impressed when he fought Junior Dos Santos. It was a great fight, and I just think first. I just need to beat Stipe, and it's going to be up to UFC. Title fight, I need to fight again, but like I said, my focus right now, my mind right now on Stipe. He's tough, no doubt, and when I'm gonna beat him, you can ask me this question. But now on my mind and against my fight against Stipe on January 2nd.
And Andre, I know you've always had a lot of great people around you and great training partners, but I am curious. Now you are at Jackson's and have been there for a while, working with guys like Alistair and even John Jones, who obviously is walking around, I think, at like 225 pounds right now. He's obviously a big guy, could fight heavyweight. How much does that add to your preparation for a guy like Stipe or anybody in the UFC to have a couple of, really high-quality fighters around your size to get ready? Because let's be honest, that's rare. It's not that many heavyweights you could train with to get ready.
You're right, but like for this particular fight against Stipe, my main sparring partner was definitely in the beginning it was John Jones, but 4 weeks ago came my boxing coach. He brought a good heavyweight from Russia, so Vladimir Mineev. So my main sparring partners John Jones and Vladimir Mineev, and they were great, so I think I'm ready, and we'll see. If I did my homework right or not? So just it.
Yeah. And one quick follow-up real quick for Robbie and Carlos, kind of a question for both of you. I'll go to Robbie first, then Carlos can answer. You guys have two of the craziest finishing rates in the UFC. I think Carlos is like 93%, Robbie, yours is like 81% throughout your entire career. Expectations on a fight like this are so high. Everyone predicts, fight of the year, fight of the night, whatever you want to call it. Does that raise the expectations or put any extra pressure on either one of you to put on a certain kind of performance, considering, the kind of high expectations fans have for the fight? I'll go to Robbie first and then Carlos.
No, I always focus on just being sharp and being a professional, and that's just the way I fight. I go out there, try to finish people, try to knock them out, try to beat them down, and that's just my style. So I don't have to change anything. I don't have to amp anything up. That's just who I am.
Awesome. Carlos?
I'm going to go out there and do what I do. You lock me in a cage with a fighter like Robbie, and I'm going to have to rise to the occasion, or it's not going to go well for me. So, and he's not backing down. Neither am I. So this is going to be, I feel like it's going to be a great fight.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Mark Raimondi with MMIfighting.com.
Hey, guys. How's it going? First question for Stipe. I know you kind of touched on this earlier in the call, but I know you were campaigning for a title shot earlier this year. Do you feel like you really have to make this one emphatic? You think you have to beat Andre emphatically to kind of to push yourself over the top and get that title shot?
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It's not my decision. I would love that for it to happen, and get that shot. But right now, I mean, like I said, all I care about is this Saturday, January 2nd. Andre's coming in, ready to bang, and so am I.
When you saw the Overeem fight last week, obviously he won, impressive knockout. Is part of you fearing that he may now leap over you because if you beat Andre? Because that was obviously a pretty impressive win.
I mean, I can't worry about that. I mean, honestly, all I just got to worry about is January 2nd again. It's all I care about. I've been training for this for weeks. And I want to go out there and put on a good show.
How did you feel about the UFC giving Cain Velasquez a rematch against Verdum? Were you happy about that, or did you think it should have gone in another direction?
I mean, he's been a champ for a while. I mean, what are you gonna do? You can't. He wasn't like a champ for like a few months. He's a champ for a while. Beat some tough guys, and nothing I can be mad about. It was their decision.
Thanks, man. Next question for Andre. Kind of the same thing I just asked Stipe. How did you feel about the UFC giving Cain that rematch? You had a couple impressive wins in a row there. It could have gone to you, could have gone to somebody else. How did you feel about them giving him the rematch?
Honestly, I thought they maybe gonna give me a title fight because I beat once Verdum. It might be a good story for UFC, but they decided to give a rematch to Velasquez, and I'm very excited about my coming up match against Stipe. I'm good.
Did you feel, Andre, that if you had won a little bit more emphatically against Frank Mir back in the fall, do you feel like that may have given you the shot, that may have given you the title shot?
Maybe yes, maybe not. I don't know.
I'm not sure if you answered this earlier in the call, but Alistair's a guy that you've been training with now for a little bit, and he just had a big win. You're coming off some big wins. Have you guys discussed at all the possibility that there may be a fight between the two of you down the road?
No.
No? Do you think that conversation might come up?
I don't know. Like I said, from my understanding, it was the last fight on the contract with UFC for Overeem. So I don't know. Like I said, first things first, one step at a time. My mind right now is Stipe. I'm not looking past him. I just focus on January 2nd. If I'm gonna beat Stipe, we can discuss what's gonna be next for me. But now it doesn't make any sense to discuss what's gonna be after January 2nd. Now my mind on January 2nd.
Gotcha. Thank you. Next question for Carlos. A lot of people were kind of laughing at Conor McGregor, some of the clips that they played and embedded of him using the movement coach. I know you've been kind of using a movement coach as well in recent months. How has that helped you? And do you think and was it kind of a similar type of thing that Conor was doing?
Well, I think it's helped me just really getting back to the fundamentals of positioning and balance. We a lot of times we work for strength and intensity, and we maybe bypass some more more simple technical things. So it's basically taking a step back and really tuning up different positions, different patterns. And that's what it's been for me. I started working with Erwin LaCour. That's the guy I've been working with for maybe about eight months after my knee surgery, and it was awesome to kind of supplement my physical therapy with this movement training. I think it helped me recover faster, and different people are doing this independently. Even before I was working with him, years ago, I was working with an Olympic wrestler named Jake Herbert, who's developed a whole movement program for youth wrestlers. And Ricky Lindell does similar stuff, and all these people are doing it independently. And I don't feel like anybody's really copying anybody. I feel like great minds think alike, and there's a lot to this. I mean, it just adds and supplements what we're already doing.
Do you think that this is something that a lot of guys may start doing? Because we saw the success Conor had a couple weeks ago.
Possibly. I don't know. I mean, even when I was a kid, a lot of my wrestling practices were agility. My best seasons were the seasons where we would spend 45 minutes or an hour each practice, doing agility drills, just making you a better athlete, and then you can plug those skills into whatever athletic endeavor you end up pursuing.
Do you do the same kind of stuff that Conor was doing? Do you see any of those videos on Unedited? Some of it kind of looked a little bit, people were kind of laughing at it,
I saw one of them. I guess it's fairly. I don't know. It's a little bit different, but I think the point is the same: getting you to move better, flow better, be in better position. And I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I think that it's it worked out for him. Probably in addition to other things, but it probably helped quite a bit. I like what it's done for me, what it's done for my body, my rehab for my knee, and my overall agility and athleticism. So, I think it's a good thing.
Cool, thanks, man. And then just last thing for Robbie, I know that you don't deliberately go out and try to have an exciting fight, but this stretch that you're on right now, the last 4, 5, 6 fights have been one of the most exciting stretches probably in UFC history. How does it just keep happening? I mean, fight after fight is like a fight of the year candidate. How does that keep getting generated?
I just think I'm just getting matched up against opponents who are pushing me, and my coaches are pushing me, and it's just two styles that happen to keep clashing, that guys just aren't willing to go down easy, and it shows just the talent level of the UFC and the hearts of some of the fighters that I've faced. They're willing to battle.
Do you go back and watch these fights and do you say to yourself, "Wow, that was a great fight"? Like, how do you kind of approach those fights that you've had?
Usually I watch them once afterwards, and then I just move on and just try to get better. I don't really try to stay who I was in that fight. I try to build off that guy and continue to grow. So it's always just focusing on trying to get better after the fact. That was who I was last time, and this time I'm going to be better, and that's how I always focus.
So you don't look at like a fight like you and Rory and say, "Wow, that was an amazing fight." That doesn't even cross your mind. You just kind of move on to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's hard to move on from a fight like that, but mentality-wise, it's like, okay, I did some great stuff and showed some heart, but you just have to be a professional. I can't pat myself on the back for 7 months and think that's just going to get me another victory. I have to go out there and continue to compete, continue to push myself to get better, and that's what I'm going to do. It's part of being a professional.
Maybe you don't think about this too much, but this current run you're on and just your story coming back from kind of a tough run in Strikeforce, do you ever think about what your legacy will be like when you're done fighting and when you're retired? When you're retired, do you ever wonder how people will look back at you and see what your legacy is?
I don't really know what. I hope just people just appreciate what I bring to the table and how I perform out there. Every time I go out there to fight, I give it my all, win or lose. I showcase who I am as a person and as a fighter. It's just I hope fans can appreciate that. I hope other fighters can appreciate what I bring to the table, that I wasn't just going to give up after a stretch of losses. I just wanted to keep battling, and hopefully I gained some respect.
Gotcha. And just last thing, man, there was kind of a weird rumor that got online maybe about a month ago about an injury. I think that they said that you had missed some kind of appearance that you're supposed to do because of an injury. Can you just clear everything up? Can you just clarify if there's anything to that?
Yeah, I guess some guy up in Canada thought I was going to do like an appearance 3 or 4 weeks before my camp up in some cold weather, but he must have been talking to not my people. Somebody must have sold him on me actually going up there, so I think he just talked to the wrong guy. He didn't talk to my people. I wasn't injured, and I definitely wasn't going up to Canada 4 weeks before my fight.
Were you shocked when you saw like those reports online?
Well, I got calls saying, "Hey, are you hurt?" I'm like, "No, I'm just sitting here like relaxing," and then I had no idea anything was going on because I don't really get on social media that much. So, yeah, maybe a couple of days later, I kind of figured it out.
Got it. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it.
That concludes today's question and answer session. Mr. Costello, at this time, I'll turn the conference back to you for any additional or closing remarks.
Thank you so much. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us on the call today. UFC 195 Fight Week activities kick off Wednesday with open workouts with the main and co-main event, followed by Ultimate Media Day on Thursday. All events are at the MGM Grand. Everyone, please have a great day, and we'll see you this week in Vegas.
Thank you. This does conclude today's presentation. We thank you for your participation.